superstar partner of ours, Sam Parker from MyCreditGuy, owner, founder, head honcho. He does everything over there. He runs the show. We're so happy to have him. Sam and I were finally connected in the fall and have been great partners and very good friends ever since. He is a huge advocate for the broker community. He does so much for consumers, which is exactly what our entire mission is about, being better so we can better serve everybody else. Sam, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, Katie, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. How are you doing this morning?
Good, I'm good. It's actually nice in Philadelphia today. The weather is pretty nice outside, so I'm starting to get used to the Northeast, but I'm still trying to creep back down to Texas.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's actually kind of overcast and rainy here in Arizona today. I think I've been annoying people a little bit with my sunny posts while I'm quarantined, like but today no post probably, guys.
Post today. Speaking of, what has it been like transitioning to working from home? You obviously have two young daughters, so that's a little bit of a different dynamic than a lot of the people that we've talked to that have older kids, so they're not quite as distracted at home. You've got two little ones out there in Phoenix. What has that been like?
Yeah, I've, for as much as I could, enjoyed it. I miss my people a ton. I miss that dynamic, the collaboration and the momentum that you just feel in the office. But to be home with my daughters is a decent consolation, and they know pretty well. They've ever since they were walking, they've heard me be like, "Hey, Daddy's on the phone," and they know what business is, and so they get it when they see the desks pop up here in the in the different rooms in the house or in the garage and stuff like that. They know what's going on, but at the same time, there's times where my 5-year-old just does not care and needs to be heard and needs to know that she needs help with something right now, and it just wouldn't matter. So it's all right. Everybody's in the same boat. In terms of the company, I have a great crew, and luckily some systems that we've adopted have allowed us to work from home really with no hitch. And so we just do some things to kind of keep everybody together, keep morale up. We have a Zoom meeting that we all jump on, that we stay on all hours of the day. That way, if somebody has something to say, a joke, whatever, they just unmute themselves and say, "What's up?" We have call logs up so we can see what's going on. We have shared Google Docs so we can have a little bit more, live collaboration and communication. I know you guys use Slack and stuff like that. We're a little more, I'm a little less techie in that area. And I just say, hey, put it on a Google Doc so I can see it pop up. But in general, we're making the best of it. It's not ideal, but could be worse than to be in your home with your family too.
Very true. Very true. It's all about perspective, right? And trying to find the positive in all of the chaos that's going on. And you are definitely one of the people that's always very good at doing that. I do want to jump into, though, you are the go-to guy when it comes to any of our credit questions, what's going on with credit bureaus, how consumers can improve their credit, everything in between. So just really quickly, what are some tips that you have for consumers if they're looking to repair their credit over the next 90 days? There's obviously a lot that's going on in the market right now. There's some people who qualified previously who don't qualify anymore, unfortunately, based on some new government lending overlays that we're seeing from a lot of our lenders out there. So for those consumers, or for those brokers that are working with those consumers, what advice would you give them on ways that they can quickly improve their credit over the next couple of months while we're waiting for rates to rebound a bit?
Yeah, we're going to end up with a lot of these kind of in-betweeners, where they did qualify or they thought they were going to qualify and now they don't. They need those quick 30, 40 points. The number one place to start when you're looking for fast points is going to be your revolving balance to limit ratios, credit cards, lines of credit, those sort of things. And that's going to be a tough line to walk over these next couple of months, because what we talk about next on how to kind of get through this financially, I'll say, hey, you might need to lean on some of these credit lines. But if you have cash and you have time to pay it down, you would want to pay down credit cards first and foremost. What a lot of people don't realize are the thresholds that are there. You get going and you say, hey, I got this airlines credit card, right? And I rack up miles on it, which means I'm going to max it out every single month. Well, when you max out that credit card, you definitely are costing yourself dozens of points on the credit profile, so keeping those credit cards down below 50%, then below 30%, and when I say then and then, there's a good, better, best scenario. You want to look at all of your credit cards, then you want to look at the cash that you have available to pay those down. You are scored on your individual balance to limit ratios on your credit cards, meaning if I have $1,000 credit card and I'm using over $500 of it, that's going to start to chip away at my score pretty quickly. Whereas if I keep that credit card at, say, $100, I'm going to be in really good shape, right? So you're scored on that individually, and then they add up all your credit lines and all your limits and then all your balances as well. And then you're scored on your overall balance to limit ratios. So what you want to do is, if you have a chunk of change sitting around, you want to impact as many of those individual balance to limit ratios as possible. So you might leave your big credit card maxed out, and at that $9,500 of $10,000, if you have $3,000 to work with, and that $3,000 means that you can pay off 4 other smaller credit cards, because you're going to be impacting your overall balance to limit ratio no matter what, and you want to impact as many individuals as possible. So credit cards is the first place to look. And with saying that, also for those couples out there, authorized users, the one situation where we do recommend authorized users is if your income has gone towards the payment of a credit card in the past, then you should absolutely be added on as an authorized user. So you can call and get added onto your spouse's credit cards or your significant other's credit cards that have that good payment history, especially or as long as your income has been going towards paying that bill.
Okay. So if I'm sitting here saying, all right, I've got 2 credit cards and I want to end a mortgage payment and I want to improve my credit by 30 or 40 points in the next 60 days, the best thing to do is to open up maybe a 3rd credit card.
Yeah, I mean, you could open up a secured credit card very quickly. The thing is, with other credit cards, you're always kind of at the mercy of when do they report and how quickly do they report.
Yeah.
And your standard credit card can take 60, 90, some of the credit vendors will tell you 6 months before a credit card has impact on your credit profile or the credit scoring algorithm. For somebody who has good credit, we don't usually recommend a $200 secured credit card. For somebody who has good credit that needs better credit and they need it quickly, we do still recommend a secured credit card just because the mechanism gets the job done. So like, for instance, we like and a lot of people know about this either through us or, we have the credit builder card, and it's a $200 card, reports to credit within 3 weeks typically, and will jump those scores up, especially if that's one of the missing pieces too. If somebody maybe has a student loan and an auto loan, but no revolving credit, no credit card, that is going to give them a huge bump by just filling in that missing piece of the credit scoring algorithm. And for somebody like you're saying, 3 credit cards, but you need a little bit more, yeah, that can give a bump as well to get those to get an additional credit line as well. Now, the other thing you can do too, and good luck, because who knows what their response is going to be, but you can call up your credit card companies too and say, hey, could I get a credit line increase? If you've always been good on payments and kept your balances fairly low, you can serve the same purpose by, instead of having to part with your cash, because it's all about ratios. So if I have a $1,500 credit line, right, and I'm using 1,000 of it, and then I bump that up to $3,000, my credit line doubled. Now I'm at 33% as opposed to 66%. So yeah, so you can do different things like that as well. Now, if you have 60 to 90 days and you have inaccuracies on your credit report, that does give you time to go after those inaccuracies as well. You just want to have a good game plan with that you don't end up just making a big mess on the credit report, and then the time comes to be able to move forward and you're still kind of in the middle of it as well. So that does give them time, besides just going after the easy stuff like credit cards and paying things down like that. If they do have negatives on their credit report, it does give them a little bit of time, but they got to sprint. They got to be ready to go to get the disputes out there, get the results back, maybe some settlements and pay for deletions, clean everything up, get out of the way, and be ready to finance here in 2 to 3 months.
Gotcha. That's a lot. Having a partner like Sam and his team is super important because credit is way more complicated. We were saying before we started this live, it's more complicated than it probably should be, but that's the way that it is. So having an expert in your corner who can help navigate through all of this is super important, especially right now, because not only do we have consumers that thought they were going to qualify who may not, who are now trying to build their credit so that they can qualify again, we've got plenty of others that are sitting at home that are about to be in situations that are less than ideal, whether they were laid off or even if they were furloughed. If they don't have the cash coming in like they did in January and February going over the next couple of months, whether they qualify for forbearance or not, there's still going to be some challenges in making sure that you don't damage your credit in this situation. Right. Whether it's doing a little too much online shopping because you've got or because you really don't have the money coming in that you did and you have to make some tough decisions around what's getting paid and what's not, which is not ideal for any consumer, obviously, but unfortunately it's the reality of what we're about to walk into, and we're already starting to see with the job reports coming out each week. So for those, Sam, what would you suggest for people who are in a little bit of a tight spot, who are trying to make sure that they don't do some serious damage to their credit over the next few months?
Yeah, great question, because I think a lot of people are going to be in that situation, unfortunately. But number one, now is the time to do a budget, guys. And I can get you a budget worksheet, a budget program. But first and foremost, you need to look and see what you're spending money on that you don't need to be spending money on before you start deciding to not make a car payment or not make a credit card payment. Look at the things that you're spending money on that you shouldn't be, or look at, did you remember that you have Hulu even though you signed up for Apple TV, that sort of a thing. So go through your budget, just pull up your credit card statements, pull up your bank statements, and go through them with a fine-tooth comb. Now, nobody wants to do that ever. Like, I know it's painful to do it. I don't want to do it either. And what I do, and now's the time to do it. So you look at that budget. Now, if you get to a point where I can't pay, I have 5 bills in front of me and I don't know which ones to pay. Yeah. You pay your mortgage always. You keep your mortgage clean.
Louder. You pay your mortgage first. You always pay your mortgage.
Yes, you always pay your mortgage first. That's where you live, guys. That's a big piggy bank that you get to live in. You pay that all the time. Okay. Then you're going to pay things like your essentials, like a car loan. You need to keep your car while this is all going, right? And then you get into other things, that you might not be able to get away from the payment. If it's reported to credit, pay it, right? And then you're getting down to things like utilities. Utilities are one of those things, and I'm not telling you don't pay your utilities this month. And the reason I say that is because there is a section of our population that's going to look at this crisis as an opportunity and not as a crisis, and just get out of that mindset, because it's never going to serve you long term. And so anyway, that's all I'll say. But like your utilities, those are not going to get shut off during a crisis. So if you had to choose between paying your water, your electric, and your sewer, well, total that adds up to X amount of my mortgage payment. You pay your mortgage payment. You always pay your mortgage payment, right? And then beyond that, it's just communication, Katie. Like, there's so many times where you might think that you're not going to be able to make a credit card payment, and nobody likes talking to credit card companies, so they don't call them. Call them. They have hardship programs no matter what. Like, if you called them up and the economy and everything was fine, and you said, hey, listen, I have a sick family member, I'm on tough times right now, they usually have a hardship program where they'll let you go to 0% interest for 3 months. They freeze the credit card, don't let you use it, but they'll go to 0% interest, or they'll eliminate payments or make the payments crazy low for like 3 or 4 months and let you get back on your feet. And so almost all companies have something like that, especially now. They're going to have specific COVID-19, protocol. You just got to give them a call and say, hey guys, my income's been affected, or my health has been affected, and they're going to have some relief for you.
That's so interesting. The last couple of days, we've really been digging into, from the servicing side, what does forbearance mean, and how's that going to work, and what are the deferment plans that are going to be available. And we'll have way more content around that coming out next week as we really get into the weeds with each of our partners that have servicing portfolios that are looking at this dead on right now, saying we can't have 25% of our portfolio default and not make a payment just because they think that it's better to pay these other lines of credit first.
Right.
But I did not realize that credit card companies and all these other platforms out there also have similar hardship programs. That's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just got to communicate. And if nothing else, you tried. If you end up with some marks on your credit, we'll all get you through it. I mean, it's going to happen, unfortunately, to a lot of people. I'm not saying that as permission to go out and not make payments. I'm saying I also know what happens to somebody with good credit when they're freaking out about it. And what I want to tell you is you're not going to die. Like it'll be okay. We'll get you through it. But there are some things that you can do to just make sure that, that you plug holes while and keep the ship afloat for right now, and it'll be okay. We're all going to come out of the woods, but you just got to be very intentional about your budget and the money that you're spending. You got to know where it's at. You got to budget, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and communicate, because more than likely, again, there are programs or assistance available for you, or there's not, and at least you need to know that right now so that you can adjust that budget.
Exactly. No, I think that's great. And I'll definitely take you up on the offer to work on putting a budgeting plan together that we can share with everybody so they can distribute out to any consumers that are in a tougher spot right now and maybe not used to having to watch budgets so closely, right? Because even those of us that are used to having a budget, now is the time to be, like you said, more intentional about where everything is going, just in case this lasts longer than any of us want it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the budgets are going to be more important than ever. We're, not to do a shameless plug here for somebody else, but we're super excited that we're going to be doing this, a little bit of an integration or partnership with FinLocker, because we're going to get all of our people on this so quickly so that they can, easily keep an eye on their budget. And then for the people that aren't our clients, then we're going to send something out to them right away. We're kind of working on something behind the scenes that's a little bit of a good little budget starting place. So we'll get that over to you first before it goes anywhere else, Kate.
Definitely. Yeah, we had Brian on yesterday, and he was mentioning thing. It's all around making sure consumers are educated up front so that they know what they've got coming at them from all directions, right? And then positioning brokers to be the ones that are helping facilitate the communication. You as the broker don't have to be the expert on credit. That's why Sam's your partner. You don't have to be the expert on financial wellness and health over a lifetime of a consumer. That's where Brian and FinLocker come into place. So we're really working hard to go out and find the partners that are going to help build your credibility as the broker talking to the consumer, because you've got all the experts in your corner, and Sam is absolutely one of those people. So with that, Sam, can you just give us a quick little overview of what MyCreditGuy does, how it got started, what you guys do, how you serve consumers right now, so that anybody, I don't think there are very many people out there who don't know you, but if there are a couple that are watching that haven't met you before, that we give them a little insight into how that process works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing this now for almost 17 years. I fell into it when I was 19 years old and just saw a need for it, and saw an industry that needed some help. And at the time, I needed something other than college, and so so it was a good little marriage for us. And over the years, I started a company, I sold that company, I worked for another company. We decided that it was going to be best to get out of that situation and get out here to Arizona and start MyCreditGuy. And when we built MyCreditGuy, which has been over 5 years ago now, we just built it very intentionally to service the mortgage client, that person that really was trying to get qualified for a home loan, where so many credit repair companies are out there. They come for your business, but they're not really set up to run alongside you during the mortgage process. And so we decided to just go all in on the mortgage lender, the broker, and make sure that we were really delivering what every credit repair company said that they were. And so what we are is a full service credit repair partner. And what we're looking for is any time that one of our broker partners has a credit issue, that we would be able to step in and help. We want them to visualize us sitting at the desk next to them. And if they would take that file and go, Sam, I'm at a loss here. What do you think? That we would get a look at that file. So whether it's that they need 5 points and that they just can't really figure it out, or they need 200 points and they think that all is lost, we're gonna be able to figure out a game plan to get that file to the closing table, whether it's just some simple advice that doesn't cost anybody anything, and tomorrow you do a rescore and oh my gosh, that works and now I'm closing, or whether it's 6 months down the road and it was, disputes and settlements and getting a new credit card and, client added a late pay and we had to work through that. And my gosh, we're at the closing table now and the client's crying. It's different ends of the spectrum, but when it's credit related, we just want to help. So what a lender does is they submit a file to us. We triage it. Do they need our help? Do they not need our help? If they do need our help, here's a custom game plan. Here's how long it's going to take. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here's what the client and you can expect of us. Here's the few things that we need the client to do along the way. As long as that all sounds good to everybody, we can have you to the closing table within 90 days. Sound good? Sound good. And then we assign them to a dedicated credit coach that walks them through the entire process while we're getting inaccuracies off the credit report, while we're going after validated items through settlements and pay for deletions. We're adding new positive trade lines that are their own trade lines, not piggybacking on somebody else's. And then we're doing the budgeting and credit education. So just kind of taking them full circle and making sure that they get back to the closing table.
That's awesome. And you guys rolled out a new consumer-facing portal not that long ago. It's really easy to use. I love it. Everything that goes inside of it. So if y'all haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely do. Sam and his team make it as simple as possible for somebody who's in a situation that needs a little bit of help. And one of the only credit repair companies that I've seen that is truly willing to give consultative advice upfront without getting paid to make sure the consumer is best being served. And that says so much about you and the way that you run your business, that you're willing to just do exactly what you said. You just want to help. And I think that is awesome.
Yeah, it's a situation that is just underserved. We don't get taught about this stuff, and then we're held to such a high standard, not only financially but socially. When you get credit pulled and you are a 620 and you're looking across the desk at the mortgage lender and they look up at you, that makes you feel hollow. And it's just a place where you can either use your powers for good or evil. And I don't understand why so many in our industry don't just give and give and give, because it comes back. But we're here and we can do as many reviews as they want to throw at us. And like you said, it's as simple as sending us your or going to the MCG Loves Brokers. Bennett, hey, what's up, Bennett? Put it up here. Guys, if you're not set up, just click on the MCG Loves Brokers. We'll have you set up in 5 minutes. We'll reach out to do a demo if you want to do the demo. If not, it's so simple. You just plug a client in, tell us what the problem is. We'll give you a handoff script that you can either use or throw away, whatever, but it just says, hey, listen, we've exhausted our internal resources, which, and Katie, if you don't mind me hitting on this, there is confusion with people out there, longtime brokers that are educated about how to work through things. I saw a post the other day that was like, I just do it on my own. Guys, what you're doing is rapid rescores and what if simulators, which are excellent tools, but it is not credit repair. It does not get into the file and address the issues that we address. And if you are doing credit repair, like physically filing the disputes for your clients, I'm not trying to be difficult, but you're violating the Credit Repair Organization Act, which is a federal law. And
I'll do it.
Yeah, you like, if it got found out, like, you would be in trouble, like with your licensing and your ability to pull credit. So don't be doing credit repair on your own, and don't be getting paid directly. I mean, if you're sending your clients to a big national company that never gets you closing backs but pays you $45 a lead, the $4,000 that we get you back at closing is more than $45 every time. Every time you do the math, it's more. And so, just take a look at our system. If you don't like it and you want to continue doing what you're doing, by all means, I had my at bat, but I think you'll like what you see, and I think that it'll be better for you and your clients.
Definitely. And Sam, you guys everybody can find all the information on mcglovesbrokers.com, but they've put together a really strong package for consumers solely because you guys are a part of Brokers Are Better. So any of our brokers that are out there watching, your consumers are getting literally the best deal available. He's discounted it for the consumer themselves solely because you guys are part of Brokers Are Better. And obviously it doesn't cost you, the broker, anything to get your clients hooked up and help them through the process so they can qualify, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yep.
But Sam, we had there were a couple of questions who came through. One in particular that stood out. Can Sam do a credit wrap for us?
Oh man.
No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to play.
You know, I have played. Yeah, I have played with the Fresh Prince song quite a bit, but it's not a finished product. But okay. I could finish it. I could finish it up in the short term, and I could deliver it to the Brokers Are Better community.
I love it. As soon as we can get you out to Philly, we'll shoot it and we'll send it out to everybody.
Oh, it's Philly. Yes, that would bring it all together. West Philadelphia.
All right, we've got a plan. Now we've got one more thing to look forward to when we all escape quarantine.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've had you for almost 30 minutes, so I really appreciate it. Anybody that has any credit questions, if you're watching live or if you happen to catch this later, feel free to drop them in the comments, drop them in Brokers Are Better, or email partnerships@aimegroup.com. We can get you connected with Sam. We can help get your questions answered. And we're working with Sam on a handful of things right now, including a blog that should be coming out pretty soon that covers a lot of the topics that we talked about today. Sam, have a great Friday and a great weekend. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
All right. We'll see you later, Katie. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.